Today, Dan, we're going to talk about the headlines that are reading. Is this still a good time to sell my house? Should I sell my house in this market? Is there still buyers actively looking in this market? There's a lot of myths, there's a lot of fears that have been spread out there, and we just kind of want to go over, what's actually happening in this local market in Boston and greater Boston, as well as all of Massachusetts and what we're seeing. So I know you've looked into a couple of the articles. What are you seeing, or what has stood out to you in these articles?
Yep. So on the buyer side, on the buyer demand then and now, at the beginning of the year, we were at historically low interest rates, and that
Right.
spurred a significant rise in buyer demand.
Yeah.
Now that we're right around 6%, due to factors like rising inflation, buyer demand has pulled back but not disappeared.
Yeah.
Showing activity is still beating pre-pandemic levels, which were also a great time to buy. So there's still demand from buyers if you do decide to sell. But now on the flip side of things, Pete, what we're starting to hear from sellers is, well, if I do sell my house now and interest rates are at 6%, I now become a buyer paying that high interest rates. So what would you say to them?
Yeah, that's a valid question, and obviously sellers are going to be contemplating that when they see that interest rates are hovering around the 6%. So it all depends. It depends seller to seller. Do you own the house outright now? Are you going to be entering as a buyer with cash? Because you own the house outright. Will you be financing the next purchase? So these are questions and that are variable to the seller situations. But overall, what I would have to say to that is, we're at 6% right now, roughly. The facts and indicators are all pointing that interest rates are going to continue to rise. So I would rather lock in my interest rate now before they do get any higher. Let's face it, the Fed is grappling with crazy inflation that we haven't seen in 40 plus years. And they want to cool it down. And part of that is they're raising their federal fund rate, and that's affecting the mortgage interest rates. So we are anticipating the mortgage interest rates to climb even further, higher than 6%. So you want to get into the market now and lock it in now. And I think it's a good time to buy because we're not seeing the crazy frenzy market that we saw over the past 2 years. The house that gets listed for 600,000 is selling for 600,000, maybe a little bit more, but not $200,000 more. So we're still in a competitive buyer's market, but it's not like it's been over the past 2 years, as you mentioned previously in the articles, where the interest rates were so low, and now where they're at 6%. Buyer demand has cooled, but it hasn't disappeared. So long story short, sellers can still capitalize on the seller's market and still get into the buyer's market and purchase a house for, an expectation that's a little more realistic in terms of paying what the house is listed for, maybe slightly a little bit more, maybe even less. So we're going into the fourth quarter. Seasonally, this is the slowest quarter typically of the year. Days on market, however, over the past 30 days throughout the whole state of Massachusetts is only 5 days. And that's days to offer. So from the time the house gets listed to the time the house accepts an offer, it's still 5 days on average. So we're still in a seller's market. Buyer demand has cooled. Whether you're buying or selling, I think this is probably the opportune time to make both moves.